Let's go ahead and get started. Oh, sorry. Let's call the meeting to order, and then we'll get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's February 20th. Welcome to the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. I'm the chair this year. I'm Aaron Mays, and I represent District 3. On my left is Commissioner Bill Rippon, representing District 1, and on my right, Commissioner Kevin Cook, representing District 2. We've got our county councilor on the far right, Rich Eckert, and our county clerk on the far left, Lisa Schmidt. Good morning to both of you. I don't know.
Echo.
Oh, okay. All right. So, well, we've got a little bit of audio going on in the background, but we'll go ahead and proceed with the meeting as usual. So, Madam Clerk, first item, please.
All right, looks like our first item today we have is item 3, the consent agenda.
We have a pretty long list of items on the consent agenda. If there's no questions. Yes.
If we could, I would ask that we move item F from the consent agenda and place it under B2, since it is bond counsel. I think that we do need to draw just a little bit of attention to that item.
Okay, sounds good. I will second that. So we have a motion. I guess, do we need a motion on the second on this, or can I just, as the chair, decide?
As a chair, you can move things around.
Okay, well, I'm declaring this move to B2. So, any other questions or concerns with the consent agenda?
I would move to approve the remainder.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business. We do not have any vouchers this week, so 2, consider correction orders.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the correction orders.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mays, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
B, bond counsel. 1, public hearing, consider approval of resolution number 2025-10, authorizing the issuance of an estimated $2 million aggregate principal amount of Shawnee County, Kansas taxable industrial revenue taxes.
Bob?
I don't know if he's here. Oh, he's on.
He's on, yeah, I think he's on Zoom.
I see.
Is our bond counsel on the phone?
He's on mute.
Bob, if you can hear me, I believe you're muted. Okay, well, then,
I think he's just about there.
all right, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's jump over this item, and we'll just move to item C1, and we'll come back to this if we can get the audio figured out.
All right, Department of Corrections. Consider approval of contract C56-2025 with American Red Cross to provide ongoing materials for CPR, first aid, AED, and Narcan certification for detention staff to be paid from training budget funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Phelps, Department of Corrections. This is a cyclical item that allows us to get all of our certifications managed annually, so all of our staff that work in the detention centers can be certified with first aid, CPR, and all of those related matters. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
If not, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Cook and a second by Commissioner Rippon. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Let's go to item D then. Next item, please.
Item D, County Councilor. 1, consider approval of resolution number 2025-11, providing property tax relief for Russ C. and Barbara J. Robison pursuant to Shawnee County Resolution number 2023-32 on their property located at 4324 Southeast Massachusetts Court, which was destroyed by fire.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kyle Edelman with the County Council's Office. I don't know that I have anything to add from what Madam Clerk read. If you have any questions, I'll stand for those.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, then I would make a motion that we approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Let's check back in and see if Mr. Perry is ready to go. I believe us. No. Okay, well, let's move on to E1.
Planning Department, public hearing. Consider approval of a preliminary final plat for LRK 08 subdivision to create one lot to be located at 1701 Northeast 70th Street. The property is zoned RA-1 and located in Soldier Township.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joni Fedani, Director of the Planning Department. As mentioned, we have a plat in front of you today, P2402. It is identified as a public hearing. However, a public hearing isn't necessary on plats. Let's go ahead and move forward as a public hearing since that's how we have it identified, but there is no public notice that goes out to neighbors or any other parties as a part of this. So Kras Construction had contacted us in regards to doing this preliminary and final plat. It is for a 43-acre parcel. The parcel itself has been in existence since the 90s, and it didn't quite meet the cutoff for our grandfathered status. The reason for the plat is because of the very narrow, long driveway that fronts the property. Right now, if you have a parcel that you want to have exempt, you have to have at least 200 feet of frontage, and this one, I believe, has 50 feet of frontage, if I remember correctly. So he has a very long driveway. It goes back to a large parcel. He plans to build a single-family residence on this parcel in the long run. Going back to the location map, you can see here identified where it is with the blue star. It is up in the northeast corner of the county. It appeared in front of the Planning Commission in December, and then it takes some time for the final steps of plats to get to this point, and so that's why it took so long to get here. It goes to the county surveyor to be reviewed and make sure that all of the measurements are correct, and then it also goes to GIS mapping, and they look at it to make sure everything is correct, and then it comes back to us to bring to you. The final steps after your signatures would be that it goes to make sure that the treasurer, that the taxes are all paid, and to the Register of Deeds, and she finalizes and does a final check on everything before it gets recorded. Staff recommendation of this was approval of the preliminary and final plat. We would ask for the following conditions, which would be noted on the plat, which is that they have to execute additional dedication of road right-of-way along Northwest 70th Street, which is required by the Public Works Department. Submission and approval of a drainage report as required by Public Works. And then we would not issue any building permits until that additional dedication and drainage report has been dedicated and then approved. And so I have no other comments. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I don't know that this is really germane to the request for the action today, but utilities, does that come up during the planning meeting, how water, electric, cable is going to be taken? I mean, this is a very kind of remote site.
Yes, every time we do a review of any sort of case, when it gets submitted to our office, the very first thing we do is we send it out for review to entities surrounding. That includes townships, fire departments, all of the utilities. We send it to gas, electric, water district. We send it to Public Works. septic system, so it goes to environmental health. So we send these cases, no matter what it is, out to all of those reviewing entities. We give them like a 2-week period of time to respond back to us, and then any concerns that they have in regards to a specific case, we address, and if necessary, we put conditions on the plat, the CUP, the rezoning, whatever it is.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, that driveway, that's all private drive, right?
It is all private drive. Originally, this parcel was accessed through an easement, an ingress-egress access easement. But at some point years ago, which is how this ended up not being a grandfathered lot, at some point back in the 90s, a little portion of a neighbor's parcel was granted to this parcel. Instead of it being an easement, it is now its own fee simple, so a very, very long driveway. And there is some floodplain on the property, right where the drive connects to the main part of the parcel. They've already dealt with that in regards to culverts and getting across, and don't need any floodplain development permits at this point on any of that.
Okay. Any additional questions? All right. So we need to enter a public hearing then?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Okay, we are in a public hearing now. Is there any members of the public wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, how about against? Anybody wishing to speak against this? Okay, I don't see anybody. Go ahead.
I would move that we close the public hearing and approve this project.
And I would second that. So we've got a motion by Commissioner Rippon and a second by Commissioner Mays. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
And let's move to the next item, please.
F, Public Works. 1, consider approval to solicit bids to replace the existing UV disinfection system at the Sherwood Treatment Plant.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works. The existing UV disinfectant system is really at the end of its service life. Parts are no longer available to keep this system operating. Basically, the city of Topeka is using baling wire and duct tape to keep it operating, so I'm here before you asking permission to solicit bids for the installation of a replacement. Cost will be approximately no greater than $350,000, and it will be paid for out of the user fee funded Sherwood Treatment Plant account. I look forward to your questions.
Any questions?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Cook and a second by Commissioner Rippon. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Next item, please.
G, Parks and Recreation. 1, consider request to utilize the Buy Board Purchasing Cooperative for refurbishing the Shawnee North Aquatic Center slides and slide towers located at the southeast corner, and approval of contract C60-2025 with Landmark Aquatic to perform the work at a cost of $76,900 with funding from the Capital Maintenance Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Laurent, Parks and Recreation Department. Yes, we'd like to refurbish our 2 slides at Shawnee North. This is a little bit more intensive than the project that normally we'll go in and gel coat a slide every 3 to 4 years. This is, they'll actually go in and sand this one down completely. It's got a lot of chips and things that need to be addressed. There's also a lot of rust on the actual slide structure itself. So they're going to go in, clean all the rust up, clean up the slides, sand them down, recoat and repaint. So it's a pretty extensive project. They will be able to get this done before the pool season. I think it actually calls for May 2nd is when the work will be completed, no later than May 2nd. We did run this through Audit Finance and the County Counselor's Office, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Commissioner Mr.
No,
Rippon?
I don't have any.
I don't have any questions either.
All right, well, then, I will make a motion that we approve the request.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Let's just stand at ease for a few minutes while we're trying to get the technical difficulties worked out with our bond counsel. I know that there are several people working on trying to figure this out right now, and I'm confident they'll have it fixed soon. Okay.
Mr. Perry, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I apologize, guys.
No, my phone was turned down. Try again.
I said I can hear you, and I apologize.
Okay, well, then let's go ahead and go back to item B1. Madam Clerk, I know you already read it once.
All
but-
right, bond council, 1, public hearing. Consider approval of resolution number 2025-10, authorizing the issuance of an estimated $2 million aggregate principal amount of Shawnee County, Kansas, taxable industrial revenue bonds.
Good morning. Back on December the 30th, you all passed a resolution expressing the county's intent to issue up to $2 million of industrial revenue bonds. The proceeds from the bonds are going to permanently finance the acquisition of a site on Southeast 21st Street, just east of the new KDOT facilities. It's on the north side of the road, and it will be used and owned by Sillison and Sons, which is a heavy equipment traffic control services company. They provide traffic control services to KDOT, KTA, municipalities, and the aviation industry. They've been in business for about 20 years in the Wichita area, and they've done projects up here. They think it'd be a good opportunity and more cost effective to be up here. This resolution will authorize the actual issuance of the bonds, the execution of the bond documents once they're completely finished, which they're pretty close to being. It's anticipated that it'll be closed sometime in March once they've finished the loan terms with UMB Bank. This resolution authorizes the county to not object to Sillison and Sons' request to the Board of Tax Appeals for an ad valorem exemption for up to 10 years. They will make a payment in lieu of tax no less than the 2025 tax, which, based upon the 2025 January 1 valuation, will be in the range of around $1,300, $1,500. And I've talked to John Sillison about paying $2,000 a year minimum for the pilot for the 10-year period of time. These are not obligations of the county. These are special obligations payable solely and only from the rents and revenues generated from the facility, and UMB will have its first mortgage on the property.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Perry?
I do not.
Okay. So I believe we need to open a public hearing, so I would move that we open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. So we are now in a public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request? Seeing none, is there anyone wishing to speak against the request? But somebody's outside honking at us, but yes. Okay, well, seeing nobody opposed or in favor, I would move that we close the public hearing and approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. And now we will move on to item, which was previously 3F, which is now B2.
All right, termination of base lease, lease agreement, bond, trust, indenture, and statutory pledge with AWE Windchase LLC regarding the IRB bonds which finance the acquisition of the multifamily complex at 3441 Southwest Burlingame Road.
Excuse me. In June of 2022, we issued about $8,750,000 of taxable industrial revenue bonds. They were for the AWE Windchase Group out of Washington, D.C. They're part of a real estate investment group. They acquired the multifamily complex at 3441 Southwest Burlingame Road. They were approached by some different investors, some of whom were local, who want to purchase the property. The local investors have negotiated a loan through a broker who's going to place the loan with Fannie Mae, who doesn't want the base lease and lease, which are the underlying documents to the IRB, in place. So they've asked that it be extinguished, or they may not finance this project. So what this document does is it terminates the base lease, the lease, and the pledge under the indenture and the indenture with the 2022 bonds. Should the purchase go through, and a Windchase should have this in their possession to deliver at closing of their sale, should the sale actually occur, and that's what this will effectuate. If it goes through and they get paid, they will execute, Windchase will execute a certificate indicating that the bonds are paid, but deliver that to the county and the trustee, and the trustee will cancel the bond in its books. Once that's done, that will allow the appraiser's office to reclassify the project and put it back on the tax rolls.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, that was the
Yes.
reason why I wanted to just draw attention to it, because if the sale does go through, this property would return to the tax rolls as non-exempt property.
And if the sale does not go through, everything just remains as is, correct?
I'm sorry, Aaron, I didn't hear you.
If the sale does complete or does not complete, then everything just remains as is. Is that correct?
That's correct. The status quo stays.
Okay. Any further questions?
I would move for approval.
I'll second. So we've got a motion by Commissioner Cook and a second by Commissioner Mays. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, next item, please.
I did not see any public comment, is that correct?
I did not have anybody signed up, so we'll move on to administrative communications.
Item 6, administrative communications.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Lewis, Director of Administrative Services. I just want to take a moment to thank all of our essential workers who were here for the 2 days that a lot of people maybe got to work from home. They were still out and about doing what they needed to do to keep everyone safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Landon, Director of the Weed Department. Just notify the public, our office is going to be closed March 4th, 5th, and 6th as our applicators all attend the annual conference this year to keep up on our CEU credits that we need for our applicator's license. So we'll be open that Monday and that Friday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we will be closed.
Okay.
Thanks, Commissioners.
Thank you. Any other administrative communications today? Commissioner Cook?
It's a bit, I don't know, maybe it'd be better for a work session, but there's been quite a bit of conversation about what's going to happen this summer or this spring for Northwest 46th Street. This has been a project that we've been working on for quite some time, and I think that if we were able to have a work session in the future, that might be best to talk about where the project's at. And I know there's a lot of information that's being put out in North Shawnee County, alerting people that this construction project's coming and how it might impact them, but I think that as the county, the more that we can do for communication, the better, just to the business owners and the public. And I know that Mr. Niehaus has been working on this diligently and working with and talking to the business owners to make sure they're aware, but just getting the message out to the public.
Okay. And so we were initially going to have a work session for Public Works on Monday. It sounds like there's been some scheduling difficulties there, and so would you want to move that to March 3rd and just maybe do 46th Street stuff at the same time?
That would be fine.
Okay, so let's plan on March 3rd then.
Sounds great.
And then Kurt's got some other stuff that day that he's going to talk about as well, so. Is that your only?
Yep, that's the one thing I had.
Commissioner Rippon?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay. I'll reiterate the fact that Angela said, that we want to thank our staff who is in here working hard in the bitter cold over the last few days, and really appreciate their hard work. I know it was not the type of snow that's real easy to move, because it just keeps blowing back on the parking lots after you push it off. So I know it's tough for them, and I'm glad that they were here doing it for us. So that is, okay, so the only other thing is, like I previously mentioned, we will be canceling the work session scheduled for Monday because we had some scheduling difficulties come up, and so we'll postpone those items that were planned. So that's all I have. So next item, please.
Item 7, executive session.
We do not have a need for executive session today, so we are adjourned.